Taming the Demon by Almi Levskiro. Chapter 22. To the Masked Man. Demon was awake again, but not because of Rikyu. He seemed a little irritated at something, which made putting him behind Kurita for the blast a smart move in more ways than one. As much as Hiruma had come to like Demon, no amount of mental or emotional progress could make the second year forget that Demon was nothing but anger at his core. It was only mildly relieving that as the original Sena began to tap into the emotions that made up his other personas, and vice versa, Demon was becoming easier to handle. If Demon was still roiling around on the surface of Sena's consciousness after the game, the blonde would ask. Right now they were tearing up the field. Yoni? Suzuna has the weirdest ideas sometimes. Once it seemed Demon had mellowed out back into Sena, the quarterback had him fake a double bat dive and threw a long pass to Mata. Hiruma put enough force into that throw to leave his own hand steaming, but the monkey still caught it seamlessly, scoring another touchdown. The old man put the ball through the posts, barely, but he did, and it was time for the next kickoff. Musashi's first kickoff on this team. He didn't disappoint. Sena just barely lost the ball to Rikyu, and at first he seemed a little shaken by how close they were in speed, but he calmed back down the instant he saw that they were practically in Seibu's end zone. The Seibu coach immediately called the timeout. When the Seibu seemed to come to a decision, Hiruma was once again disappointed by their behavior. Instead of using their best attack, the shotgun, which would have put Shien in a more dangerous position to lose points, they sacrificed their playing style for a run. Judging by Shien asking Hiruma his opinion on the setup, which was happily given, fuckers were doing shit wrong. The cowboy too was disappointed. Damon, of course, got the safety, which was swiftly followed by a field goal. The gap had shrunk to 8 points. Then Rikyu once again blew past Sena and scored a touchdown. It probably wouldn't have been so bad if the brats would just stop lecturing the brunette every single time. Stopped reminding him, hey, I made you. You can't hope to keep up with me. Stopped looking down on the player he kept claiming to respect. Stopped. Hiruma realized he was actually pointing his gun at the Seibu running back preparing to fire. He quickly put it down and moved on. On the plus side, it seemed Ice Shield, too, had had enough of Riku's bullshit, because both he and Demon were pushing the small brunette body gunning for the win. The second year smirked and used the idiot to score a touchdown in the meantime. From that point until there were only 3 minutes left on the clock, it seemed that both sides had given up on defense altogether, giving up points then stealing them back. Once they arrived at those last 3 minutes, there was a 9-point difference and Hiruma's plan had almost come to fruition. Shien would pass to Tetsuma. There was never any question about that. And from the manager's data, the pass route would be Hitch. There was a slight panic over the cowboy passing underhand, speeding it up even further, but the monkey never failed to catch, even when what he was catching was not the ball but his opponent's fingers. After he knocked it away, Damon's ace running back scooped it up and took off. Hiruma was a little busy at the time, but he was sure it was Ice Shield. He had the ball and was running full speed towards Rikyu. It seemed Ice Shield was going to make the logical choice, run up behind Kurita, earning 8 or so more yards before getting tackled. But then Demon intervened, and the two running backs were slamming full-on into each other. A double back goes later, and Rikyu is on the ground, and Demon is screaming his victory from the end zone. What was even better was the look in the blonde running back's eyes as he stood back up. It took almost the entire game, but Rikyu finally met Demon. With Musashi's kick, the gap closed to 2 points. The downside? There was only 1 minute left. It was Seibu's offense, and they were just killing time. It was time for a desperation tactic. An onside kick. In response to Damon's desperation, Seibu sent out all of its best players, regardless of offense or defense. The old man kicked and incited an all-out brawl. It was a mess. Bodies everywhere, pushing and pulling, scrambling for the ball. In the end, of course, it came down to the two miracle receivers. At first, they both had the ball. Then Monta had the ball, and Tetsuma hit the ground, and the ref's hand was in the air. Tetsuma had fallen before Manta had taken the ball. It was Seibu's offense and there was no time left. Damon had lost. If Hiruma had foreseen the monkey having a mental breakdown in front of the ref, he wouldn't have withheld that the losers of the 2 semi-final matches compete in a consolation match, the winner of which goes on to compete in the Kanto tournament. As it is, thank God or Satan or whoever for Tetsuma Joe and his knee tackle. If the monkey had continued for much longer, the ref would have suspended him from the next game and Damon definitely would have bit the dust. The blonde made sure the monkey understood the severity of his crime by hailing numerous bullets and profanities on his butt. The 2 teams bowed to each other and the spectators left the stands. Of course, Rikyu would have something to say to Sena. While everybody else was busy dealing with their own crap, the blonde quarterback hung back to listen and make sure Demon didn't make a mess. At first, it seemed that the original Sena was just going to smile and nod and forget the conversation later. But just as Rikyu went to walk away, he heard Demon speak.
You bastard! How long are you going to continue to look down on us? We just kicked your butt, and you still seem to think we need your approval. I tear you apart, but Shin is already going to do that for me. You are not our master or big brother, so get off your high horse, because the only person that can push us around is Yoichi, and only because we like him. And one more thing.
A shiver ran up Sena's spine before his shoulders realigned, and it was Ice Shield talking. The Ice Shield is not entirely a mask. It is my face. Hiruma Taicho gave it to us, and we will not take it off until he says we can. The blonde captain decided to intervene at that point because Rikyu was starting to look very freaked out, and we couldn't have him running his mouth off now, could we? So he tapped the brunette on the shoulder, told him Manta was looking for him, and after he ran off, turned to the shorter blonde. The first thing the quarterback did was congratulate Rikyu on being the second person ever to discover the second and third Senas, Demon and Ice Shield, respectively. He then made clear that the original Sena, that everybody knew, was almost completely unaware of his alternates. When the brat started stuttering something about getting Sena help, Hiruma pointed out that making the brunette forcibly face his other 2 personas was probably the most harmful thing that could be done. The best thing Rikyu could do for now was pretend everything was normal with Sena. As the second year turned to leave, Rikyu asked to know one more thing. Sena, Demon. Yeah, Demon. Demon said something about this person Yuichi, how he is the only one who can handle them, and that they like him. Who is he? Hiruma laughed as he walked away.
Yoichi is my given name.